Hello, what's up? It's Blimey here. I'm at work, as you can tell, because I have vomit-colored walls. It's my lunchtime, and I wanted to talk about MMOs today. This is like my video diary. When I think about something, I need to talk about it because it gets me all excited. And you guys tend to like to listen and watch, and the best part is contribute your feedback or your opinions, and I love that. Today, my vlog is going to be about the most important aspects of an MMO, according to me, of course. This is my own opinion. I wrote some things down because I tend to go on a tangent, you guys know that, and I wanted to stick to this one theme for the vlog because I end up, again, going on a rant about one thing, forgetting where I am in my spot in my last conversation, and then I realize I'm 17 minutes into a vlog. Like the one I did yesterday about Silent Hill, which I deleted because it took up too much space on my phone. And I'm sorry. It was basically Silent Hill 1 is good, Silent Hill 2 is bad. When the movies. 2 is obviously the best one, apparently, according to all the people who love it. Again, I'm going to stick to the obvious topic that I meant to stick to today. So this is about the most important aspects of an MMO that I look forward to. This isn't everything, but this is kind of the top things that I really like in an MMO, and the other stuff is kind of like if it's there, then it's perfect, you know. So this is kind of like the minimal amount of stuff that I'm looking for. So the first one is obviously the immersion, and I know it's hard to get immersed in an MMO. That's kind of like the hardest thing to do, is because you're looking at your screen, you've got this interface all around, and you're pushing buttons, and you know, it's difficult to kind of like set yourself into that area. Some MMOs have done it really well, some haven't. And there's a lot of aspects to that immersion that there's a lot of variables that need to be added to get like the full effect. There's a couple MMOs that do it well. I think World of Warcraft do it well. Kingdoms of Amalur do it well, and the reason I'm saying Kingdoms of Amalur is because it is not an MMO, I know, but it's supposed to be an MMO, or at least it branches off into an MMO, and their world is it's stylized, it's cute, it's beautiful like World of Warcraft. It's a lot nicer in terms of graphics, of course, but they have a really nice kind of lush, they like fill in all the spaces. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when you get into a world, it's just everything just looks great, and you feel like you're in that world. And a lot of things do contribute to that. So like not only does the set contribute to that set, like the settings and the area that you're in, but the amount of detail that goes into all, you know, the terrain and the buildings and everything like that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be detail itself. It doesn't have to be stylized. It doesn't have to be like super texturized and everything. But if it's stylized in a way, even if it's cartoony, to make it feel like everything was put there and hand placed and like beautiful, not just copy and paste over and over and over again, you really get that feeling, and it's a really nice kind of feeling when you get to an MMO. So I think World of Warcraft actually always did that really well. Also, like the just even something down to the music. Whenever you get into a certain area, like the music changes to suit the backstory of that area. Even if you don't know about that backstory, like the music changed, it's like sad now, like what happened here, and if you go figure out what happened there, the immersion just kind of like, you know, envelopes you, and it's really, really cool. And not only the music, but the background sound, like the ambience music or sounds. So like, you know, if you're in a forest, like hearing birds or rustling in the grass, or just little tiny things that you don't really notice, like your footsteps like hitting the grass opposed to hitting wood or hitting stone, like just the footstep sounds that change between like going through a puddle or, you know, in some gravel or something like that. That's like just tiny things like that a lot of MMOs don't think about, make a huge difference with the immersion. So it's you know, I think Kingdoms of Amalur did that well, WoW did that well, Guild Wars does it pretty well, and those games in general got me pretty immersed in the world when I got in there. The other obviously very important thing is it's easy to feel like you're not very special in an MMO because there's so many people playing it. You know, they're trying to convince you that you're the hero of this entire world, but everyone else is a hero too. So when everyone's a hero, nobody's a hero. That sounds like from The Incredibles. When everyone's super, nobody's gonna be super. But there's a couple things that you could do to like make you feel a little bit more special, like you're contributing to the change of the world. A couple games did that well. Again, Guild Wars 2 did that quite well in a way of following your class story. So you set up your character at the beginning of the game, and you choose a couple things that you think are more interesting. So like for instance, if you're a Norn, you went to a party and they give you 3 choices. You got in a fight, you lost an heirloom, and I can't remember what the third one is, but that contributes to your story. And what they do is they actually instance you in to your own, I was going to say dungeon, but it's called an instance. It basically puts you all alone, or with a friend if you want to come along with you, but you get your own cutscenes, your own conversations with the people in that story at certain times and certain places. And, you know, you'll be fighting all the guys alone if they ambush you and everything like that. So it really, first of all, it really makes it feel like this is about you. It's about your story. It's really cool. And that story, you know, you just follow that along you know, all those instances. And the other thing is about the instances that I like in games is that it teaches you how to play your character. Because if you're all alone and by yourself, you're forced to learn how to deal with shit on your own. And that's I think actually one thing World of Warcraft didn't do, and I disagreed with, and it made a lot of people very lazy when it came to gameplay. Was they could all just get pulled into dungeons with higher level characters and friends. They didn't have to learn anything. They just got to their high level, and by the time they got there, they didn't know anything and how to play, and they're really bad, but they thought they were good because they got to a high level really fast. So the cool thing about stuff like Guild Wars 2, or even, who did that? Who did instancing? The Star Wars game online. Star Wars, The Old Republic. Even though that's not a great game, they did the single player instances where they're like, okay, go to this place, you get in, it's like a cave, you get in, it's like a portal, almost like a dungeon. And what that does is it puts you on your own. You have to fight all these guys on your own, so you have to use your own resources and learn how to stay alive or maneuver and dodge and all that kind of stuff, and it really gets you kind of skilled into the game. So I really appreciate that. And what that does is at an early level, it teaches everybody how to hold their own. So you're not relying on other healers or tanks or whatever. You're like, if I get into a situation, I need to get out myself. And you can keep track of yourself, and then eventually keep track of everybody else too. And it does build the community a lot better because no one's getting angry at each other for not doing the job, even if they are doing the job or not doing the job. Regardless, you're on your own, and you're it's great to have friends with you, but if you don't have them, like me, no, I'm just kidding. It's great to know that you can go out there and you can keep track of yourself and make sure that you can handle yourself out with all the big monsters and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's really important to me, is the fact that not only just the fact that you're sorry if you're making a difference, but you're also learning how to play your class better, or learning the mechanics of the game better, because that's something that really pisses me off in MMOs is if they don't encourage you to play the game properly, and you can just sit there playing, hitting 1, 2, 3, 4 and standing in one spot. You're not playing a game, you're hitting your keyboard over and over again. You're not looking at the whole environment or the battleground or paying attention to other people and the monsters or what they're doing to you. You're just zoning out. And that to me, games are supposed to be more stimulating rather than even watching TV. If you're watching TV, everything's just happening on the screen. You're pushing a button to change the channel, and that's it. They're giving you, the information. In a game, I want to make sure that I have control of what's going on, and I'm being stimulated and paying attention and reacting and getting better and better at that if I can. So can't say I'm good at it, but I like to learn more. So the cool thing about, say, Guild Wars 2 is they put you in an instance, they give you your story, everything's happening to you. The world isn't so much changing around you. Actually, World of Warcraft did a fairly good job at phasing, but I'm still a little confused as to whether I actually like that or not, because what happens with phasing is you hand in a quest, the area around you will change in a certain kind of perimeter or whatever, and that will essentially make it so anyone else who has not done that quest will not be in that area until they do the quest, and then they'll just magically appear. So it's kind of a weird illusion, more than anything, but it does give you kind of a little bit of satisfaction knowing like, hey, this place was all barren and it was corrupted in some way, and I went and helped some elves, and like I may have planted a tree or killed a dragon and planted a tree on top of them or something like that, and then everything changes and turns out lush and beautiful. Like that was really cool in World of Warcraft when they made the phasing, was giving you that kind of illusion that you're changing the world. But again, I'm not sure if it's fully what I was looking for or not. It is a cool gimmick for sure. So it would be nice to see something like that in like say Elder Scrolls Online, which is why I'm getting so into MMOs lately. I'm always into MMOs, but talking about them not so much. But now I am. Anyway, the other thing is on the kind of same topic as building the community. What I liked about, say, again, Guild Wars, they did a lot of things right that I like in an MMO, and that's why I use them as comparisons a lot, is because they encouraged you to basically work together with other people in the area. You didn't necessarily have to group up with them, but you could work together and like say if there's some sort of rare spawn or an event happening, everyone sees it on their map. They all migrate towards that area and they'll start doing that quest with each other, and they'll heal each other, or they'll band together, and it'll be harder, but everyone just works together even more, which I really like. And I think another thing that helped build the more positive community is actually the in-game rezzing or in-battle rezzing. So if someone gets knocked down, this depends on who you are. This could just be a gimmick, but I really like it because it kind of builds more of a co-op kind of feel to the game. Is if you get knocked down, people are going to come and help you get up. So basically, I call it cuddles. So everyone just comes and cuddles you. It's like, it's okay. And then you get up after a while and you're like, thanks you guys. And then you go back and play. And then you go do that to other people too, unless you're a douchebag, of course. But that's the cool thing about that game is it's not just healers that can res out of battle. It's like you go and you stop fighting the boss if he's distracted. You go and help your friend get up, and then you both can start fighting him again. So, it's beneficial to everybody to help everybody get up and help everybody proceed and progress. And that's what I really like about that game is you're not pining against each other for certain things. Like even the resources in the game, like ore nodes and trees and stuff like that you can chop down, like all your resources for crafting. They make it so like you can chop down a tree, your friend can chop down the same tree too. It just looks like they're just chopping down like nothing basically, but they're still getting the resource. You're not stealing shit from them, you're sharing it. And so it really builds that nice community where you don't have to compete against stupid shit. You still want to compete, but you want to compete like in PvP when you're fighting someone in the world or something like that. You don't want to fight against your own friends or your own faction to get certain things. It kind of builds that stronger, I guess, what's a good word for it? I don't know. It just builds a stronger community. And I like that. I like that very much. And another big thing is I'm a big dungeon goof. I like going into dungeons with my friends. I'm a little bit of a snob because I've played MMOs for a good 7-8 years now. Actually, no, it can't be 7 or 8 years. It has to be 6 or 7 years. But coming from someone who's taught me how to play MMOs, I like to think that I'm okay at them. And the thing is just being open to I could be horrible. Who knows? I would like to learn more and make sure I can always be better. And I really, really like dungeons, and the best dungeon I've probably ever been in is actually in Warhammer Online. And I know not a lot of people play that game, but that actually was a fairly good game. It had a lot of great mechanics for a lot of different aspects, even the dungeons and the PvP, because actually Elder Scrolls Online is going to have something similar to the dungeons and PvP in Warhammer Online. But the cool thing about Warhammer Online Dungeon was we got in and they thought outside the box. So the essential recipe for a dungeon is basically you get in, there's trash mobs, which are just the small mobs that, you should probably be able to kill with your friends, maybe not so much on your own. You get through them, you help each other, you get to a boss. Same thing over and over and over again. Each boss may have different mechanics. The cool thing about the Warhammer Online dungeon, and I think I've only played 1 or 2 of them, but they really, really stuck with me in the way of man, these guys really think outside the box. Is we got there, we fought a boss, and then we were like, what do we do now? And then we noticed there was like a tree that some people could click on and start hitting. So we started hitting this tree knocked over, we ran across the tree over this big ravine, went and fought more people, went and fought another boss that was actually really cool. And then these birds came down, and like huge birds, like the eagles from Lord of the Rings, and they're like just sitting there, and we're like, what do we do now? So we go and click on the birds. The birds bring us to this other area in the dungeon. So you're just always moving, and you're always just like, there's so much to look at, and it feels like it's taking you for a ride. You're not just going in this like kind of linear path on where it should be taking you. I mean, it still is linear, but it's giving you some better kind of I guess, point of view of how a dungeon should work. And it was really neat. It was like the dungeon was organic, and it was like a living thing, and it was really cool. So I'm hoping Elder Scrolls Online is going to have something like that. Because one of my favorite things about like Skyrim and Oblivion is just going through those dungeons and looting shit all over the place. But they're all pretty similar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you go in, there's some guys, maybe there's a really big tough guy at the end or somewhere in the middle, and then you steal all their loot and then you go home. Which, you know, to be honest, is good enough for me as long as there's loot involved, because I like going and like hoarding all my treasure and putting it in a closet and then looking at it later. I don't know. I'm a girl, whatever. The shiny things. Yeah, the cool thing I would like to see is just an organic dungeon like the one that I saw in Warhammer Online, where you don't really know what to do. You kind of have to figure out how to get to the next stage, and you're just kind of blown away by the way that everything is. You can interact with the whole area. And I think one of the most important things, this is the last thing, because I'm already 16 minutes in and I've been staying on the same topic. One of the last things that's most important to me is world exploration. I can't express how disappointed it is when you get into this world and it's absolutely gorgeous. For instance, Terra Online, which I've been playing lately, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It just blows me away, and I'm like, I want to go climb on top of that mountain and just look at everything. You can do that for the most part in Guild Wars 2, which is really cool, and then you can see everything, and you're on top of a mountain, and it's just, it just blows you away. In Terra Online and in a lot of other games, I'm not just bashing Terra Online for this, but you get there and you're like, well, there's an invisible wall. I can't do anything here. This is just in the background. It's essentially cardboard scenery is what a lot of people call it. And my heart sinks because I'm like, this looks like I'm in this huge world, but it really just is a hallway. You know what I mean? Aeon was really bad for that. Especially, they're like, hey, you have wings, you can fly around, but like they had like 7 foot or 10 foot like invisible ceilings. You're like, what's the point of having wings if I can't fly like more than like a couple feet? Doesn't make any sense. So I honestly think that Elder Scrolls Online is going to have that really, really nice aspect of exploration, because I love going into Guild Wars 2, doing my quest, and then going, like, what is that over there? And then like I go into this like crevice in a wall that you wouldn't have noticed unless you looked behind you while you're running down a path, and it's actually like this amazing forgotten jungle / like technology jumping puzzle that you have to get, find your way through and fight a boss at the end, or there's or a chest or something, and you're like, I wouldn't have noticed this was here ever unless I just looked behind me at that moment. Like, they really surprise you in that game with all the exploration you can do, and I'm really looking forward to that, because again, in Skyrim and Oblivion, I love just going, okay, I'm gonna go do this quest, and then I start running towards that quest, and then I've done like 8 or 9 different dungeons on my way to that quest, and I've like got so much upgrades, and I've progressed along the way, and I haven't even done the quest that I went to go do because I've just got so distracted just doing all the other fun stuff along the way, and I love that. Anyway, so that's about it. I'm almost 20 minutes in my vlog. I don't even know if I can upload this today, but thanks for listening. Let me know what you guys think is the most important thing in an MMO, maybe like the top 5 things that you think, like, if an MMO had, you would go ahead and you either play it or maybe even give it a little bit of money. And what would govern you to actually, like, what kind of MMOs would you actually pay for if they asked for money? Like, to what extent would you actually start giving an MMO money? Because there's a lot of MMOs that you can pay for that aren't really worth it anymore. A lot of MMOs that are free, you just pay like right off the bat, and then you can play for free, and you don't even know how they managed to do this. You're like, this is such a great deal and everything like that. But, you know, there's certain aspects of an MMO that I would actually pay for if they combined all the stuff that I love. Anyway, let me know what you think. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye.